Anyway, y'all, we're here with a really good friend of mine.
Aw, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, and you know, the way we met, I think is kind of funny. So maybe we should tell them that. But this is Matt. Do you prefer Matt or Matthew?
I don't really have a strong preference. I've been asked that since I was in high school. Actually, I went to new high school, and they were like, I said my name's Matthew, and they're like, you mean it's not Matt? And I was like, I don't know, whatever.
So it'd be cooler if it was Matt, but
Well, that's kind of that's when I switched, but I don't care.
okay.
Most people call me Matt.
All right. Well, this is Matt Wallace. He is a fellow actor, and we've been in a couple endeavors together. At least attempted. And we've done a little bit of stuff together.
Yeah.
And actually, you're going to be in my upcoming movie that we're filming February, March.
Yep.
Which I'm really, really excited about.
No doubt.
You're playing a pretty prominent character in that, which I'm really excited about because you're a pretty awesome actor, man.
Well, thank you, sir.
A thespian.
You're not so bad yourself.
Yeah. I think it was funny, man. We met, what was the name of that church?
Resurgent ATL.
Yeah, Resurgent ATL.
Super cool church name.
They resurged for a little while. Are they still around? I don't actually know.
I don't think so, yeah.
Okay.
I think they folded.
So it was a short resurgence. But we met at Resurgence, and as it always turns out, other people will introduce you because you're an actor.
Yeah, as soon as over here in the South especially, it's like, oh, an actor? I'm going to introduce you to another actor.
Lose their mind. Yeah, I mean, obviously in LA, that's not a thing.
Yeah, then it's just, here's another
Everybody's
person.
an actor. Every single person on the street
Yeah,
that you're looking at on this road.
You'd introduce someone who's not an actor. And by the way, this person is not an actor.
Yeah. They work a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
and it's not a barista. But yeah, so we met Resurgence. You had been in the game for a long time.
Yeah.
And I guess I've been doing this over a decade now too, right? Probably 12 years-ish.
Okay.
Always wanted to.
Yeah.
Even as a little tyke, I would say, hey, I'm going to be on the big screen someday.
Nice.
And now I is.
Yes, sir.
And so we met, and this is customary. I know not everybody realizes this if you're not in the industry, but it's customary when someone says they're an actor that you don't believe them.
Yeah, well, there's always you kind of look at them a little sideways, like, okay.
Yeah, there's skepticism.
Yeah.
For me, there is, anyway.
I would say more once I got back to the South and people said they were an actor, then it was a little bit higher skepticism.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I started in New York, and that was really more of like a fashion and television, right? So like modeling is massive in New York. It's like the capital of the world for fashion.
Yep.
And then, but I never really wanted to do that. It was just something I accidentally fell into. Mm-hmm. I was a martial artist, had a martial arts school, felt called to go into the industry, literally got a call from a producer, and we talked, and he brought me down to New York for a week and showed me his production company, and they were working on some stuff they were working on a TV show at the time and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, this is legit. Maybe I actually have a chance to do this, right? So I sold my school, went down there. And then on the way down, I get a call from one of my old students at my Taekwondo school, and they're like, dude, I know you don't know this, but I'm a producer for Bruce Weber, who's like one of the biggest fashion photographers specifically, but he does huge campaigns for Ralph Lauren and Abercrombie, Versace, all that stuff, right? And they're like, we need a martial artist for Ralph Lauren's spring collection. And I was like, I know a guy. Literally been doing this my whole life, So that's kind of how I started. I never really I did a couple runway shows. I did a couple campaigns. Yeah. But I was never like a real model. I don't know. Maybe I was.
What is a real model? For a man.
I got paid pretty well, but
yeah.
So I guess maybe I was, just for a little while.
Yep.
But so anyway, back to you. We met, and then really a long period of time went by before we actually like talked.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. Well, I remember it was you and a lot of people that visited the church.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, that's an interesting family setup. So that.
You're saying because the fact that I walked in with 12 people.
Yeah, and I was single at the time. I was like, oh, that's weird. I mean, maybe we'd have some things in common, But I ultimately, I don't think you guys stuck around a long time, so that probably was also part of it. But hey, before we get going, I wanted to give you a little gift since I know you're starting this podcast, and
oh man,
not to be like all the other podcasts. But I think gift giving is good. And also, I thought we could smoke cigars. So
I would love to.
there's one for you, sir. There's one for me. These are Avo, Uvasian. I totally been mispronouncing his last name.
That's all right.
Great cigar maker.
Yeah.
Love these guys.
It smells
And-
good.
Yeah. Let me get you.
Like a little, well, you just got the one cutter.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Got 2 lighters though, so feel free.
Wow. Fancy.
Yeah, this was a kind of a COVID era hobby that I started.
I did pipes for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then switched to cigars because it's easier to smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
You ever try to smoke a pipe?
Yeah, my granddad smoked pipes.
Constantly work on it, I feel like. It's a job.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you do it enough, you learn this special technique. But every time I've tried, it's like, okay, it's lit for a few puffs, and then you set it down, and it's out, and you're relighting it. Kind of wild.
I did get myself a nice Gandalf-inspired church warden that I liked. It was nice and
And
12-inch.
And where did you smoke this? And amongst whom did you smoke it with?
Well, mostly English gentlemen
Appropriately, yes.
along the way. When I was on the Serengeti.
Yeah.
Back in the exploring the Serengeti.
Yes. That reminds me of a story, actually. I don't think I've ever told anyone this because my memory's like that. Like, I have to be triggered before I remember stories,
Yeah, sure.
and you just triggered it. So I went out to LA right after college. I was 23, 22. I was 23 when I got there. No, I was still 22. It was in 2003. I turned 23 while I was in LA.
Okay.
And, I was coming from college. I'd been acting since I was in the 9th grade, here and there, whatever I could do in Alabama.
Wow.
But LA, obviously, very different animal. But I still had this sense of, every sphere I've been one of the best actors.
Yeah. And then you go to the sphere.
Then you go to the sphere, yeah. So I was a little bit, not full on arrogant, but I probably thought more highly of my skill set
Sure.
than I really had.
That happens.
And I got in. It was hard to get work in LA as an actor, but there was an opportunity to do a pilot presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something like Death on the Serengeti was the name of it. It was kind of a comedic thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you don't know, a pilot presentation it's just the beginning processes. They've kind of written the script.
Right.
They're showing it with actors to producers or money people, whoever it may be.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get traction. So I go in for it, and I'm just, young actor. I'll take any audition, whatever. I think I was cast for what was originally written to be a 40-year-old Jewish man. I was 22 and not Jewish.
They thought very highly of you.
But I did kind of a Woody Allen impersonation, and they loved it.
Nice.
But it made it didn't make sense. I couldn't own it. I could do it as a shtick. But once it was like, now try to be realistic. And be realistic, and have this idea of playing older, which I think is a real pitfall for a lot of actors, especially young actors, because when you're starting, you're playing adult roles even as a teenager a lot of times.
Yeah, you can only play young for so long.
Right, but also if you're trying to play outside of your age category in general, it throws you for a loop in your internal process, and I think that's what happened to me. So I was like, "Well, hello, it's nice to meet you." I was kind of a Woody Allen.
Yeah.
It was a caricature, and then they want me to bring a little bit of realism to it. I'm like, I didn't even know how to put it into words, but I was like, "How do you want me to be realistically a 40-year-old Jewish guy?"
Yeah, at 23.
But they. They liked it, and then I think they had done an initial rehearsal, and then they basically were like, "Yeah, we think we're going to go another direction."
So is this stage or was this television?
It was for a television production.
Okay.
But we were doing it as a live action piece, and we did. I think it was just an initial rehearsal, and they were going to go present it to somebody, and they're basically between the rehearsal and the presenting, they were like, "Yeah, maybe you're a bit young for this role." I'm like.
You think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But yeah, Death on the Serengeti. It was kind of a wacky script. I don't remember what happened in it, but
Well, I've never heard of it. So
Yeah, I don't think it
I'm
ever got
guessing
made.
it didn't go past the pilot.
I'm sure it didn't.
I feel like that would be hard to shoot. Because where is the Serengeti here in the U.S.? I guess the Midwest. You could fake it in the Midwest.
I don't actually know the Serengeti well enough. I would think scrub brush and, maybe, is it in South Africa? Where is the Serengeti?
Serengeti.
We could look it up.
It has to be. It has to be South Africa. Where is the Serengeti? North central Tanzania. On the Serengeti Plain. Well, yeah, obviously.
That's
It's in Serengeti. Wouldn't you know?
You're
Wouldn't you know?
telling me the Serengeti is in the Serengeti
It really
Plain.
is, I promise. And it's 5,700 square miles. That's a
Holy
lot.
cow, that's a lot.
I feel like that's a lot.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot. Square miles. We're not talking acres. Square miles. That's huge.
Square miles.
Yeah.
Large herds of plain animals, including wildebeest, gazelles, and zebras.
Zebras.
If you must. Yeah, so tell me, like, I'm always curious when I talk to actors, what actually got you started? Because I had a passion younger, and I went to go do a musical in my high school, and I was so bad. It was bad. And I did.
Wish we had video of that.
But yeah, thank God, no blackmail material here. But it was, my audition was bad, and then I don't even remember if I got a part because I was so ashamed of my audition that I didn't want to do it.
Oh.
So other than the fourth grade production of
Yeah.
whatever, some recycling play that we did in fourth grade and you had to do it.
Right.
Other than that, I had no experience until I got into early 20s.
Okay.
And really the desire just came back really. I had a martial arts team that I was touring with, and that's started to kind of quench this thirst for performance, and entertaining people.
Yeah, yeah.
And then from there, I had just opened my martial arts school, and a small production company came. They wanted to do an action short film, and they were like, "Dude, we've seen this guy on YouTube through Master Grogan's YouTube page on Team Pilsung, and we want a couple of your teammates to be in this action film." So that was my first on camera really.
Okay.
And it just ignited the spark.
Yeah, you got a taste, and give me some more.
Yeah, it was like crack. But what kind of got you started? Because that's really young to get started.
Well, I don't know. I feel like I'm a little different than a lot of stories I've heard. I mean, my upbringing is probably different than most people. I was homeschooled for my elementary years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was different, and obviously not a lot of opportunity to act. Not a big audience between your family.
Well, you had your brothers.
your family might be.
That's right. We fill a theater with a bunch of kids.
But it was just my brother and I, so it was a little smaller. But I think I remember the first time that I technically acted. I didn't even know what I was really doing. I was just tasked, I think at 8 years old, to do an oral presentation on a country, and I chose Australia. And one of our favorite movies as a kid was The Man from Snowy River. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I have not.
Highly recommend. So yeah, it's kind of like a cowboy story, but set in Australia. And not a typical cowboy story, but horses and
Sure.
lots of amazing scenery.
And that's a movie.
A movie, yeah, fantastic movie.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out. So anyway, I had heard the Australian accent, and I don't know how. I honestly don't even remember how I knew that I could do it. It was just
You just knew.
I knew I could make my voice sound like those people.
Yeah.
And this little 8-year-old boy from Alabama was like, "Oh yeah, I'll do it in Aussie. I'll do a whole presentation in Australian. It's great."
I love that.
Yeah, so I was like, "This is a dingo. What a dingo! He's this and that." And
That is pretty darn good.
yeah, well, I mean, I honestly didn't. I just could hear it and do it.
It just happened.
It just happened. Yeah.
Who's that guy Motormouth? He was in Police Academy. Black guy does 10,000 sound effects.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about
100,000 sound effects.
Is that his actual name, Motormouth?
No, I think that's what he was in the movie.
Oh, okay.
What's his name?
We should look him up because that dude's amazing.
He is amazing. Very strange guy. I mean, just from I don't know him, but the interview, he seems very, very. But you got to be a little weird when you're making movies.
Yeah.
I always thought I was weird because I never felt at home anywhere. I never felt like I belonged anywhere, Until I started making movies, and I'm like,
Yeah.
here I am. And I just had this extremely deep desire.
So were you extroverted as a kid? Did you want attention? Because I was the opposite. I was very. I never sought out attention. I never was shy, but I wasn't like I wanted to be looked at in a group of.
I think it depends on your definition of extroverted. I've heard some really Michael Winslow. That's right, Michael Winslow.
Yep.
Yeah, he's wildly talented in that area. He's a decent actor too, but he was really good at what he did.
Yeah, it was amazing how he could make all those sounds with his voice.
Yeah. I think I might have been more extroverted back then, but I was more of like, I'm not though. So my definition of introvert and extrovert is an introvert wakes up every morning with like, let's say 10 coins in his piggy bank. And throughout the day, people take those coins away from him.
Yeah.
And then and that's an introvert. An extrovert wakes up with 1 coin in their piggy bank, and as they hang out and talk and do fun stuff with their friends, they're filling their tank up.
Yeah.
Like, so I feel like people draw from me, and that's kind of my definition of what that is. So if you're talking about that, I think I've always been an introvert, but I've always been a performer. I wanted the room to laugh, and even as a little boy, I'd be like, I'm going to go on TV and make people laugh. And like make their day better. Like that's what I wanted to do.
Wow, okay. Yeah. I didn't even have a concept of that as a young age. Although I was very drawn to movies, TV, anything I could watch visually, stories like that were visually played out, I loved.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't that would have been the thing if I didn't have parents that maybe do other things. I probably was in front of the TV or in front of a movie screen constantly. So I did have a love for that, but as far as me performing, I don't think I discovered that till I was later, a little bit later in life. And then in the 8th grade, I went to a small school, and I didn't really have any acting, as I recall. I may have done like a presentation of something where I was in a character for an educational something or other. But I didn't go back to that school in 9th grade. I delayed on figuring out where I was going to go, and just decided I'd homeschool the 9th grade. But I got into that maybe 2 or 3 months and was like, nah, I can't go back. I'm used to the social atmosphere of being in school, and it was pretty miserable. But I delayed. And so it was, we grew up in Montgomery, Alabama. The public school system was absolutely awful. That wasn't really something I wanted. So then my mom's scrambling, trying to find some private school situation where I can go and still get in after the semester has started.
Yeah.
And there was this father-son team, I guess, I don't know what you call them, just 2 guys that had a school that it was kind of like go at your own pace. They would do a little bit of teaching, but almost anybody from any age group could go. And their whole extracurricular was an acting troupe.
Wow.
So, I didn't know at the time. I was just like, oh, okay, I can go here and kind of.
And what age was this now?
I was going into the 9th grade. So this was 14, 15.
14.
Yeah, something like that.
I graduated really young. Graduated at 17. Went into college at 17, only for a few days, but I went into college at 17. I was like right on the cutoff.
Yeah.
So I'm always like a year younger than everybody around me.
Nice.
Which is fine.
So yeah, I went, and just as I'm there, trying to make the best of it being at this kind of weird school, you find out, oh yeah, you can stay after, and we do acting stuff. And both my parents were working at the times, and they had to pick me up. So it was like, it'd be better if they could pick me up at 5 rather than at like 3:30.
Right.
Because it wasn't close to our house.
Work or whatever.
So I was like, sure, I'll just stick around, kick it. And we did Shakespeare. We did a bunch of plays. We did a passion play that when we went on tour around the Southeast and went to other schools and would do kind of a passion play.
Like the Christian.
The Christian, yeah.
Okay. Have you been to Arkansas and see the Great Passion Play?
Huh. What is that?
So we shot, when we shot The Penitent Thief, there's this really cool location out in Arkansas, really small mountain town.
Okay.
But they have very believable Middle Eastern sets.
Oh, interesting.
Because of the rocky kind of locations that naturally occur in Arkansas.
Okay.
So they made this big amphitheater, and then they made all these sets, and they do this really awesome play. But it's cool because the amphitheater, there's a mountain behind it, and they actually use the mountain in the production.
Oh, wow.
And they're wearing microphones and
Hello,
stuff.
Curtin.
It's just wanted to say hello.
Yeah. A little mist from the rain, but it's kind of nice.
Yeah, we'll probably have to tie that up. You want to just tie a knot in that?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah, so we shot the movie there because they already were doing biblical stuff. And they have this really amazing gateway that they built among some other like huts and biblically accurate scenes, like down the mountain as well, not just in the play setting. So we used a lot of those sets.
Okay.
And we used the gates of I don't even know, not Bethlehem, but there's some city with this large gate, and they recreated it essentially.
Jerusalem?
Maybe.
There are gates in...
I'm not a biblical scholar.
Yeah.
I do know the Bible well, but I don't know. I can't think of the name of the gates. But yeah, some.
Jerusalem had gates on every side, and they had different names. Like there was, I think, it was a sheep gate. There was a something else gate. I don't know all of it, but
Yeah, I don't know why I cannot think of the name. But anyway, we used that, and we used like the little town square that they had there inside the gates for a location in the film. And the film, crazily enough, one of the like the pivotal characters, Barabbas, obviously if you know the story of the crucifixion of Jesus, or the event. I don't like to say story, that kind of makes it sound like it didn't happen. But the event,
Yeah.
the crucifixion of Jesus.
yeah. Well, most people interpret it through written word,
Yeah.
So it is kind
Sure,
of...
you're reading it as a story for
Yeah.
sure, yeah. So, but the Barabbas character, the actor clearly never read the script and just read his parts.
Oh my gosh.
And he was like, if you make me out as the bad guy in this, I will sue you. Yes, so the whole
No.
Barabbas character is completely upside down.
So they
And we had to cut him on
kowtowed
shot.
to this actor. Who was this actor?
He was nobody big.
Why would they do that? Oh yeah, well, we got the story for you, no name actor.
Yeah, you've never seen this guy, put it that way. And he thought that he needed to be the good guy. And I'm like, you're playing a marauder in a band of marauders. You're not the good guy. And then Jesus takes your place and
Yeah.
dies for you, and you're like the ultimate version of a dirty, sinful guy
Yeah.
that Jesus replaces.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, he was all indignant about being the bad guy, and it ruined the movie. The Penitent Thief. I read the book; it's really good. And then we're like, Don Willis, the writer, was like, "We're going to do the movie," and I had just happened to run into him through some mutual connections, and kind of forced my way onto the set actually, and it ended up being a really great experience. But really, I don't want to say a wasted opportunity because I learned so much.
Yeah.
But as a piece of cinematic artwork, the story that was written is not the story that you see right now. And they just ran out of money.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
Common story.
So you can go
unfortunately.
see it, and it's okay.
Yeah.
But it could be good,
Right.
and it's just okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, in my experience in the industry, there's always like scripts that have tons of potential, and then they don't have the funding or the resources or the know-how and the directing or whatever to make it great. And then there's scripts that are like, that was never going to be good no matter what. And sometimes
100%.
those get the most funding, and you're
They
like,
get the funding.
what the heck?
What you need is attachment. And you know this. You need a name attached, as whether it be a star, or usually you need a star or two, and you need a director and an executive producer or a producer. If you get those things attached, you can film a lump of excrement, and they'll pay for it.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yep. Well, and you'll get people to go see it initially, or you'll get someone to rent it initially. There'll be some, or a foreign investor will pay some money because somebody will click on it.
Yeah, and you make a lot of money in pre-sales. If you even just say, we have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson,
Yeah.
you'll make several million in pre-sales before the movie's even close to done. So you can make a lot of your money back immediately in other countries.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of a weird, twisted system.
It is. Yeah, it's a very weird system. A lot of things I didn't know going in, for me, it was just simply, once I discovered I loved acting, because
Yeah.
I kind of began this journey as a teenager. I'm from Alabama. I have no concept that I could actually
zero film going on.
Yeah, I have no concept that I could be a professional. I mean, or even the thought of going to LA or New York at that point was not even something that probably entered my head realistically.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll go to college and I'll look for an opportunity to act in college, which I did. But it wasn't until I was in college before I got an idea that I could go to LA or New York, and that was only because a roommate of mine had gone to LA for an internship. He was a year ahead of me, and so he worked with this talent manager out there who was an alumnus of the school, and I was like, is it possible to go to LA and just get a random job and afford rent? Like, I've heard it's crazy. And he goes, yeah, it's doable. I mean, it's tight, but it's doable. And so once I heard that, I was like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And that became my plan, because I got to a place where at that point I knew I loved it. And I was like, I couldn't imagine my life. You know, when you're 20 something, you're trying to figure out where your life's headed. And I couldn't imagine trying to go the 9 to 5 route or normal career route, knowing I never tried to be an actor. Like, I knew I would be miserable and embittered from that. And people, since I have a significant experience now, they ask, like, you know, the young people or whoever is starting to ask about it. I'm like, well, listen, if you can be happy doing anything else, do that. If you can't, then you know you should pursue it.
That's when you know.
And that was the boat I was in at that point.
That's what I tell people, man. Anybody that would ask me, in the current system that exists, right, not the new system that I'm working on.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into more.
Yeah, we'll talk
in
about
2025. We'll have you back on.
Okay,
we'll talk a lot more about that. Can't really talk a ton about it.
Sure. Yep.
But starting January, we're going to start actively working on things much more publicly, I think.
Yep. I'm just going to put on a coat real quick.
Yeah, go for it. But in the current system, I tell people the same thing. If you don't love it and you don't have to do it, don't do it. Because it's so difficult, man. In the current pathway, there's no actual direct path to becoming an actor.
Yeah.
It is just hope and pray and practice and audition.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, and I think I realized that relatively early on, was that I wasn't going to be able to make it happen.
Yeah.
I got out to LA and like, how do you get an agent? Start spending a lot of money on pictures and mailers and do showcases, spend $5-10 just to try to get an agent. That's money I didn't have.
Yeah.
But even then there's no guarantees. So it became evident to me, like, if God didn't make it a way for me, then it wasn't going to happen. That's kind of how I approached it personally. That was,
Could be right. Yeah.
So in a way that's good because I was very okay with the long process. In a way that was bad because I probably didn't try as hard as somebody who's like, I'm going to do everything in my power to become whatever.
Yeah.
But I would say if I was giving advice to anybody nowadays, it's like the actor has the least amount of power until they're famous. So if you want to win the lottery, it's not a great business plan.
No.
But it can happen, and it does happen to some people. They get an opportunity, and it's just...
And that's what acting is. It's a lottery.
Yeah, but if you want to be in control of it a little bit, you got to create. You got to create content, write, you got to collaborate. It's very much a collaborative art.
Yeah.
Which I would say, just the way my life has gone, I haven't done enough of that.
Yeah.
I've kind of found other ways to make money, and acting's like, I'm still waiting for the opportunities to come my way. But
a little more secondary.
Yeah.
So when I moved to New York to do it, I was basically like, I'm gonna go do this full time, and it will be, it would take priority over everything.
Yeah.
But I was young and single, like yourself,
yep.
like you were when you started, and that was okay. And but same type of deal. I had a faith that had to be number one, and then acting was my number two, really. And yeah, man, I don't even know how to describe it, but I would definitely do things differently if I could go back. Not a ton differently, but I would have spent a lot less time striving.
Yeah.
And a lot less time angry at God, actually. Because, you feel like you're supposed to do something.
Yeah.
But then you feel like you get hung out to dry. And I don't know if you've ever felt that way. Maybe you don't. But I felt like I was hung out to dry a couple times, and that really hurt me.
I don't know that I ever felt like I had this major, I never had an encounter with God where he's like, you're going to be an actor and you're going to be this successful. It was more like I had this internal desire for it, and I thought he wouldn't build me this way if it wasn't for some reason. I got encouragement along the way. But yeah, because of that, I don't think I had any entitlement about it. I was always like, it's up to him.
Yeah.
And I would pray for it, and I would, pursue it and do what I could. But yeah, I just don't think I ever had this sense of like, anything was owed to me.
Yeah.
Now, I would say if I was arrogant in any place, it was like I did feel confident in my skill set because I had a lot of acting. And when I got to be a talent manager, I'm actually helping all these other actors have a career. And then I realized, like, dang, I'm better than most of these people. You know, we would do showcases for our talents, trying to get agents, and I'd be the reader for them. And then a couple different times, these agents would be like, well, I mean, it was cool and all, but honestly, none of them were as good as Matt, the reader over here. So you're like, oh shoot, did I hurt someone else's chances? But at the same time, like, well, why am I not?
Then book me.
Yeah, why am I not moving forward?
Yeah. Let's change gears.
Oh, okay.
If you don't mind changing gears.
No, let me push the clutch in real quick. Great.
Enough about you. Let's talk about you.
Oh, ooh. I love talking about me. It's my favorite subject.
It's my favorite subject. I'm going to switch cigars.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I want to know a little bit about, like, kind of what production, what's your experience been? Been to LA, Georgia, Alabama, not that that's a
Wow, okay.
hotbed.
Yeah, no.
Hotbed for movie making, but what's kind of, I know we talked a little bit about what got you into it. It's really just kind of this innate desire, right?
Yeah, once I got a taste, I was kind of like you. I just got a taste a little earlier. But once I started doing plays, and then I did acting competitions at another school I went to in high school and won throughout the state. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm okay.
Yeah.
And then I went to college and acted and did theater there. So yeah, I decided to make the trek to LA, saved up a little bit of money, not nearly enough, but you know, it got me out there.
It's
and
customary actor speak.
Yes.
Not
However,
enough
I
money.
am proud that I never had to leave LA because of money, you know.
And that happens a lot.
Yeah, most people, a lot of people, they go out there and then they get a slap in the face and they have to come back and maybe save up again and go back out. So I was fortunate, blessed to not have to do that. But yeah, I eventually got an agent in LA, just a commercial and print agent. That's usually what they'll take a shot on somebody for, you know, you just like, oh.
That's how it starts,
Yeah, you don't have a resume yet. Or not one that matters to LA people. And so I did a lot of film school work when I first started in LA. A lot of, you know, you got USC's film school is really good, AFI, UCLA. Really good film schools there that they do high level productions.
Sure.
So,
You're saying like college thesis film type stuff.
Yeah,
Short,
and I
short,
even
15,
some
20.
like 400, 500 level graduate classes for directing, you know, at USC are pretty great because you might even just be doing a scene or a short, but...
Was it anything good?
I mean, it was all a good learning experience. They had a professor there that, you know, I got cast in this student director's production for his class, and we still did rehearsals. We still came in front of his class. The professor, who was this really great Russian actor, director, directed us. And so you get exposed to a lot for free that way, really. So I would recommend that avenue for someone starting out. And I got some footage. However, I will say the negative to doing student film work is it takes about 2 years to get any footage back.
Why is that? Why do you think that is?
Well, the way they did it at USC, I did more at USC than anywhere else, is they had post-production run by people who were specializing in post-production. Mm-hmm. And so you have all these directors, which is more than people pursuing post-production.
I see what you're saying.
And so there was a massive backup. They send all their stuff to post, and it takes forever. So it'd be different if they were doing their own post work. They could probably get it back faster.
Am I the most legendary editor of all time? Because I can edit a 15-minute film in 15 minutes. No. But
that
really,
is impressive.
But really in like 2 to 3 days. I mean, you've seen it happen.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good. You know? I wouldn't like distribute it.
Right.
But it's good like YouTube. It's good like practice.
Yeah.
You know, and I did that for years.
Yeah, well, you have to remember this was back in the early 2000s, so technology was different.
Okay.
They were probably using Avid or something more complicated. I don't know, like I wasn't there. So that could have been some of it. It could have just been people needing to have the director there because they didn't feel like they could interrupt the director's vision, you know.
Now, have you shot anything that's been on film? Were they on film or were they digital when you started?
Actually, there was a project I did for USC. It was a thesis. They did it on black and white film.
Wow.
And it was a period piece set in the civil rights era in Alabama. So that's probably why I got it.
Oh, wow.
I actually met a good friend of mine now, Bill Billions, who's a great actor, director, owns a studio in Huntsville, Alabama. We met on that set.
I'm a sucker for film, and I'm a sucker for like period pieces.
Yeah.
So is that watchable?
You know, I don't know if it's available anywhere. It might be. It might be.
You remember the name of it?
The Counter. It was a
Starring
diner.
Matt Wallace.
It was no, it wasn't starring me. I was just a a local police officer who came into the diner. But there was like a sit-in, and
Us white guys get police officered a lot.
we do.
Or detective. You're more detective now. You've graduated.
Thank you for saying so.
You know,
Unless it's Tyler Perry. If it's Tyler Perry production,
I don't want to do it. I
Doesn't
don't want to
matter.
do it at all.
I actually like going to Tyler's studio. It's so quick. It's so easy. It still
Okay,
pays
that-
full rate.
That's valid. However, would you watch it?
No, that's a different. That's a
Well,
different
that's the
question
problem.
entirely. Yeah.
Yeah. You get paid and you get in and out quick.
Yeah, and they're very friendly. They're very nice people.
Yeah,
there.
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. That makes sense. God, we could talk about Tyler Perry a lot.
We could.
But I don't necessarily want to go down that road.
No, yeah, I understand. That's what I said. Well, you would ask me kind of what my kind of story was or
Yeah, so-
background in the industry.
so-
So I'll speed it up. I'm taking probably too
No,
long.
you're good. You're good.
So yeah, I got a little bit of a resume, and then things moved slowly, but
Mm-hmm.
booked a little bit of work here and there. Mostly LA. I went on auditions for print or commercials.
Yeah, sure.
Which obviously is a whole nother realm.
It is.
But I hit a point where I was probably, when was this? Maybe 3 or 4 years into being in LA, and just ran out of money. Honestly, never had a good flexible job that paid enough to really fund the dream.
Did you roommate? You have roommates and
Oh yeah. Everybody
you have
in LA
to,
has
right?
have to.
You
Yeah,
just can't afford it unless you're
100%.
independently wealthy.
Yeah,
It's
even
like
then-
some of these kids.
I think I knew one person under 40 in LA my entire time there that had her own place.
Wow.
Everybody had roommates. Why would you not? You could, even if it was your place, you could rent out 3 rooms and bring your
Correct.
cost way down.
It would make sense. Yeah, but I mean, oh man, I never did the roommate thing. Never
Really?
had a roommate.
Wow, that's amazing.
Never had a roommate. I did rent. Okay, that's actually not true. I'm sorry.
Travis, let's not lie
I
to each other.
forgot it did. It was only for 6 months.
Okay.
But I did spend time with family. So if you want to consider that, I did spend a couple years when I first started acting in New York with my aunt.
Okay.
So I rented a room from her. So technically I did.
Yeah.
And then when I was in the Bronx, I had roommates for 6 months.
Yeah.
So you start doing some stuff, you build a resume, you got an agent. Who were you with? Like what was it like? So for people that are not actors, what's it like when you get the agent? Did anything happen?
No, my first agent, I think I had 2 auditions in 8 or 9 months.
Oh my gosh.
She was a nice lady. She was a small boutique agent. She had no clout. And in LA at the time, I'm guessing there was probably 300 or 400 commercial and print agents.
Oh my gosh.
There's still not that much work coming through. You might, in a given day, you might have 3 or 4 projects that are casting.
It's wild, man.
So you figure that probably equates to 50,000 competitors for every single job.
Well, I hear when you put out something on Actors Access, and I have, but if you do it with a good budget, you're getting 5, 10, 15,000 submissions in Georgia.
Yeah, I don't doubt that
That's
at
a
all.
lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people to vet. Casting directors do not have an easy job.
No. I mean, and to think that you're gonna be super fair and merit based and get down through 15,000 people to
Yeah.
the right person, no, you're not. And also, once they find somebody that's pretty good, they'd much rather be done casting than
Absolutely.
keep going through another 10,000 people.
Does this person fit? Yes. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah,
Because I have 5 more things to cast this week.
100%. It's like anybody else doing a job.
That's tough, man.
But anyway, I hit this place where I needed money. A friend of a friend was a talent manager, and he had something go wrong inside of his office where he kind of had a mutiny. So he fired 4 of his other sub managers
Wow.
and just was desperate to have some help. So I was like, I went in to help for a week.
Yeah.
And in the meantime of me helping, he was interviewing people and this, that, and the other. And I was getting down to the end of the week or 10 days or whatever it was, the agreed upon time I was working there. And he calls me into his office and he's like, hey, I've had probably 30, 40 interviews for people to fill these roles. To be honest, you'd be better at than any of them.
Right.
Do you want the job? And I was like, can I still act?
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I mean, we'll work around it, obviously. If you get super busy, it's not going to work. But if you're,
Is it like a conflict of interest, though?
well, yes and no. Yes and no. Like, they weren't representing me. I was just acting and also working there. So
So not a conflict.
not really a conflict of
But it was a
interest.
talent agency.
It was a management company.
Okay, a management, but not a cat. So if you were with a casting company, you couldn't act, I don't think.
If you're depends on what level. If you're like the top casting agent, no. But if you're a low-level assistant, you're a reader, if you're called in there, just to do this, that, and the other, yeah, there's no issue there. That happens a lot, actually.
I believe that is how, I could be wrong, but that's how Harrison Ford got Star Wars.
Could have been.
Was reading for actors playing opposite Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, this dude is amazing.
Yeah.
Or he has something about him.
That's a great place to be in. And I was in that kind of position with, as I told you before, when we had, talent that we were looking for an agent, and we're doing inviting an agent into the office and letting them read 20 or 30 actors. Well, if you're the reader, they're hearing you 20 or 30 times. They're only seeing those people once
You might fall in
each.
love with it. Yeah.
And they see what you can do with a lot of different types of characters, because you're reading 100 different.
Do you want to close that?
Yeah. Ah, all right. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
We can close them.
Yeah. I wonder if I wrap this around here, maybe.
Like who tapes a podcast when it's raining outside? Outside, what an idiot.
This might be enough to keep it in place. Yeah, I think I fixed it. Look at that.
Good shoe, old chap.
Yes, quite right. You know, it's good Scottish weather. The rain's falling straight down, not sideways.
It's not sideways like.
Yeah. Anyway, I forgot what I was saying. Something about working there.
You were a reader, or it'd be good to be a reader.
Yeah, so that was 4.5 years I worked at the talent management company, and so I got to know some casting directors, because I would have casting director workshops come in, and they would read our talent. So it did provide a lot of just industry knowledge, and I would recommend that for anyone too. If you can get on multiple sides of this industry, you get a whole nother perspective.
Yeah.
Whereas if you only have the actor's perspective, you have all these questions.
Absolutely.
But so I did that, and that talent manager actually represented a lot of kids. So I was helping kids start, and I ran an acting school in association with that. So that was a huge amount of experience. It actually got me a job later working at Nickelodeon on a sitcom as a dialogue coach, which is basically an on-set acting coach.
Being attacked.
Yeah, I know.
A dialect coach? Is that
dialogue coach.
Oh, I thought you meant dialect. You are quite good at dialects.
Thank you.
Like you have a lot of different characters that you could play.
Yeah. Actually, when I was in college, I had an assignment in one of my acting classes there to do, I don't know if it was 10, 15 different voices, and just record it on.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was a cassette tape.
Nice.
That's what they had. And I was like, I can only do 15?
Is there have you ever done work for a voiceover?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a voiceover agent in LA for a little while. I never really booked anything through them. The only voiceover thing I booked was actually through a commercial agent I had for a radio spot.
Okay.
But I did get to audition for a lot of different types of animated, commercial, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
But the thing about that is you never get any feedback. And I was newer to it. I was like, I'm turning in something. I'm just making a choice and sending in a take.
Yeah.
But I have no idea if that's good, bad, what's wrong with it, what I can improve on. And so again, with anything in acting, you have to invest a lot of money, training, I think, to really know that you're competent. Sometimes you might be competent, but you got to have somebody who's an expert say, oh yeah, you're at this level.
There's several mistakes that I think are made, and 95% of actors quit in the first 2 years. That's like an actual statistic.
Wow.
And because think of how many people go to LA and try, or go even just in New York or Atlanta now, of course, and try it, and don't find success right away, and they're like, this is dumb, because they didn't really love it.
Yeah.
They didn't have the right motivation. If you want to get rich and famous, that's the dumbest thing.
Yeah.
You're going to be poor for a very long time, probably.
I don't know if you've known anybody like this. I have a few friends that they got an opportunity without ever having to really work for it.
Yeah.
One person I'm thinking of in particular starred in a feature. She had done like a music video, and then she starred in a feature.
Wow.
And so then
Was she terrible?
No, she was great actually. Natural. She's a natural. She was not as good or professional in that initial feature as she was later, but
Oh, so she continued on and did well.
But I've seen other people that, she still didn't work for a year or two after, and she's like, what the heck is going on? She didn't understand. I'm like, you don't realize what the industry really is.
Struck gold, man.
Yeah, you don't realize the gift you were given, but also that's not how it goes. It's a grind.
And it's very strange for your first credit to be something big like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for going through the school of hard knocks.
Yeah.
People always ask where I trained. And I have trained at many locations, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't go to a conservatory. I didn't go to college. I'm like, school of hard knocks, dude.
Yeah.
I worked my butt off for a long time.
Yep.
And obviously you have done the same thing.
Yeah, although I did go to a lot of different acting classes. I've kind of skipped over that. When I got to LA, I had to relearn how to act because I had learned how to act for theater.
Theatrical.
And I'd learned some good things. I think when you learn theater, you learn how to have fun. You learn how to take risks.
Yeah.
You learn how to play the entire arc of a character, which you don't get when you're getting small roles on camera.
That's true.
But as far as the natural acting, I didn't have that grounded realism that the camera requires.
Theater is very big, very boisterous, over the top a lot of times. You wear a lot of makeup.
And it's encouraged, like even...
Could be yes, for sure. Loud.
I never did any major big stages. I think the biggest stage I acted on was maybe 120 seats.
Okay.
It was a black box, so you're the farthest person away is only probably 40 feet, 50 feet from you.
So you don't have to be super loud.
No, but you still have to show
project.
Yes. Which is very different than being on camera.
Film is what I love about. I've done theater too. I actually did a Broadway play.
Oh, did you really?
Kind of. So I always tell people I was on Broadway once, but I wasn't really. It was Times Square Church.
Oh, okay.
I actually did a production of The Cross and the Switchblade, and I played David Wilkerson, one of the stars.
Cool.
Which is cool, and we only did a couple scenes. However, I got to do it. Nikki Cruz was there and stuff, and sold out to the point where it was filmed. They had their camera system set up at Times Square Church.
Yeah.
So the theater was filled, and then we had the overflow, like several thousand in the overflow. So it was a big.
Yeah.
And that was sweet. I mean, it felt.
I bet it did.
I was energized, man.
Yeah. That's the one thing I do love about theater is how energizing it is.
It's so energizing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get instant feedback, which is something you don't get in film. Sometimes you have to be like, is that what you wanted?
Yeah.
Because you're not saying anything. I'm assuming that means it's okay.
You're right.
But when people are up on their feet and they love it,
I know.
And you got people cheering for you, it's sweet.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you another thing I thought about in regards to that is comedy. So I worked when I worked at Nickelodeon as a dialogue coach. It was a show called Nicky, Ricky, Dickie, and Dawn. So it's a sitcom starring 4 10-year-olds who play siblings that aren't they aren't actually related.
Wow.
And they're all very different. Kind of a comedy of unique personalities. So, what was cool, I was there for the kids, but I also got to interact with the actors who were playing their parents, who were fantastic, long-time actors.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see them still be insecure because in a comedy, everyone's always like, "Is it funny? Is that the funniest way I said it?" So everyone's always wanting this feedback, and we would go through the initial table read. You'd get a lot of laughs. The first rehearsal day, you'd probably get a lot of laughs. And then when they would bring the writers in to see it on its feet the first time, you'd get laughs from the writers who wrote the jokes.
They're glad
they're trying to get their joke on TV. But the actor, I'm thinking of the one that played the mom the most, Allison. She would always be like, "Well, no one laughed this time, but I did it the same way I did, yesterday." And I was like, "Everyone's heard it.
They've seen it 4 times.
Everyone's heard it 4 times. No one's going to laugh. Doesn't mean it's not funny." But you do need that spontaneity for comedy to be as energizing. And so, especially when you don't get the feedback, it kills your energy. It can very easily. So you're like, we taped it, but was it any good? I don't know. Like, it just didn't have the same pizzazz that it had initially.
Yeah, comedy is actually, people don't realize this, it's actually one of the hardest things to do. This curtain is about to get what's coming to it.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
Travis, laying down the law. Taking care of business.
Jeez. If you're not watching but you're listening, I'm fighting a curtain right now. Yeah, comedy is really hard. And it was something that I wasn't even that interested in. I thought, well, people won't take me seriously if I do comedy. I want to do drama, and I'm an action guy. I want to kick someone's face clean off.
Not in a funny way either.
No, that's good comedic timing. See, that's why you're good at comedy. But yeah, I was so much into the action that I didn't even want to do comedy for the first couple of years. And then I got over myself. I was really like
Yeah.
worried about my brand. People are like, you haven't done anything, bro. You don't have a brand yet.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I was getting some
Now Matt's fighting a curtain.
some mist. I had a little mist coming in. It was a little misty.
A little bit of myth. Never killed no one.
That's so funny because you were saying that as a kid you wanted to entertain people and make people laugh.
I know. Isn't that such a weird? Go to the next rung over and you might have some luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm weird. I think I just wanted to be taken seriously. And when you're young, you ever like struggle with that when you're young? You feel like nobody thinks you're serious, and you just want to
I don't think
take me seriously.
I don't think I wanted to be taken seriously, but no, you're right. People don't look at young people the same way they do.
Well, that's why every 13-year-old girl wants to be 26.
Right.
But then when she's 26, she's like, I just wish I was 21. You know what I mean? But there's men do that too.
Yeah.
They just show it differently.
Right.
I wanted to be more masculine, more manly.
Yeah.
I was always really obsessed with my physique and everything back then. And,
Yep.
And I stay healthy now, but I nowhere what I was, obsessed with it
Sure.
back then. So I think I just want to be taken seriously so bad that it became like a fear almost of like, if I do comedy, people will think I'm just a goofy guy.
Yeah.
So, but I got over that, thank God. And I really like it, and I love it now, actually.
Isn't it fun?
It's great.
That work job at Nickelodeon was one of the best jobs I've ever had because I was going to Paramount Studios every day. You're surrounded by really cool, awesome people. I'm getting to hang out with all these directors that come in.
Mm-hmm.
The dialogue coach is actually a great role because you're kind of the go-between between the director and the actors.
Yeah, it gets to know them.
Not that every director is going to use you, but you're there for that.
Yeah.
And you're constant. So we did 20 episodes in that season, the first season, and I was there for every episode. So the kids know me. I'm their kind of guardian, so to speak. I mean, they had their parents, but in a professional sense.
Yes.
But the directors, I don't know if you know this for sitcoms and a lot of TV shows, they're hired and maybe they'll do 2 or 3 episodes and then they'll bring in another director. Many shows are like that. Not every show.
There are a lot of shows like that.
So, these directors would come in, they don't know the kids. Their kids are, at that point, were fairly unprofessional. It was most of their first time ever doing anything.
10, 12 years old.
Yeah. They're just trying to get them to stand on their mark is hard. Even
Yeah.
by the 10th episode, you're like, come on, you know this.
Yeah.
Not time to play.
Get
You're
on
working.
the tee.
But yeah, it was cool to have that place of I'm sitting back there in Video Village, listening to the director, like I'm bringing stuff to them, saying, "Hey, did you like how they said that? That didn't quite land."
Didn't play.
So it was really cool to be a part of that, and you feel like it's a family, and then paid well, and you're having fun, and then I got to see probably the sweetest gig ever if you just want an easy job and you're a good comedic actor is to be the parent actor on a kids sitcom.
Definitely.
Because these guys are coming, they're staying in the trailer most of the time. They're only in about maybe a quarter of the scenes. Mm-hmm. They're still getting paid. They're probably getting paid better than the kids because they have long careers.
Could be.
So they might be making $15,000 an episode, and they re-air those things all the time. So they're sitting there
Tons of
making
residuals.
probably, just off that show annually, they probably make $400,000 or $500,000 working maybe 20, 30 hours a week, having fun.
Having fun, dude. Yeah, when I started taking acting less seriously, if that makes sense, I started booking more and I started
You know what that is?
having more fun and just...
That is it. You just said it. Having fun. If you don't have fun when you act,
Yes, dude.
it's evident. You do not book much. People don't like that.
Yeah. I've done some auditions where I was at the end of my takes, I'm just laughing at myself. Like,
Yeah.
that's dumb, let's cut it. Let's run with that and just go with it. I'm happy with that take. And I was really good in the room, but gosh, I hated when I went to video during COVID.
Yeah.
And everything was video auditions. I mean, you've taped me a couple times. I was not good at it. And you can be honest.
Yeah.
I'm saying it, but you probably saw it.
I'm trying to remember, actually.
way more comfortable
It was a long
in a
time
real
ago.
camera setting. It's weird, man.
Yeah, I thrived on, here, try this one.
Uh-oh.
That's probably got wet or something. I thrived, actually, with commercial auditions, especially in Atlanta. When I first got here, I booked a number of commercials and made a lot more money in Atlanta than I ever did in LA from being an actor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But yeah, I fed off the energy of the room.
I was the same way.
And even having another actor to work with, a lot of commercials, they'll just pair you up with people. And you can have some people that aren't very good at playing with you. And you have other people that are.
Yeah.
If you had improv experience and they're a good improver and you're a good improver, It's kind of magic,
It's great.
you know, and you create something that's so unique that no one else has that dynamic because it's unique to the two people that are there, or the three people, or whoever it is.
Yeah.
And they might decide to do something very improvisational that really lands.
Yeah.
And then when COVID happened and then no more commercials really are being auditioned in person, it's just dead.
It's dead.
Yeah, and then the other thing is in-person commercial work, you would have the person running the session come in and tell you exactly what they wanted to do. They'd be like, okay, well, at least Brian was always this way. He would just be like, hey, we're going in this way, this, that. You say your lines here, you look that. And you know, it's, one, you don't have to think about it,
Yeah.
which takes that off your plate. But second, it's going to be consistent. Everyone's seeing the same direction.
Yeah.
So then it's more about me and my acting ability
Yeah.
and what I do with it, which makes it so much easier. When you get something and you're just having to make all those decisions without any feedback, you naturally want to second guess it.
When did you actually move to Georgia versus being in LA?
Well, I left LA mid 2016, and then I got to Georgia. I landed in Alabama for a little bit with the stay with my folks, but landed in Georgia very end of 2016, beginning of 2017. I found a place, and so I kind of got moved in December, but really didn't get over here until January of
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah. So I know time is, we've been on for about an hour. I'd love to talk about just a couple things.
Sure.
One is, what was your favorite thing you've ever did and why? Like, what's the favorite gig you've ever been a part of and why?
Wow. If you were my wife, which you're not, you would know that I struggle with favorite questions. Like, yeah.
You're going to love this next
Yeah,
this
I know.
next
It's like
question.
favorite? I don't know. There's great things about all of it. I mean, I honestly would say some of the commercial jobs I've done I've enjoyed because it's a fun day of work. You're getting paid really well. You're still getting to be comedic. And in Georgia, there's not sitcoms. There's not a lot of comedy options. So that's like one avenue. So probably the Open Table commercial I did, super fun. But from like really getting to sink my teeth into something, it would be theater, you know, because it's a lot more like we're talking about the feedback.
Energy, man.
Yeah. So I did
Chico.
this play in college called The American Century, which was super funny. And we just killed every night. It was so good. But it was great. It was a great premise. So basically I was a World War II vet coming back from the war, you know, and it starts with me walking into my kitchen. My wife hasn't seen me in years. And we, you know, like embrace, we kiss, we start making out on the table, on the kitchen table. And then all of a sudden our son from the future pops in.
Oh my
Who's
God.
an absolute mess, you know, which it kind of speaks to the dynamics of all this like optimism you had coming back from the war and this, that, and the other, and then how many of those kids kind of were screwed up.
Wow.
And it put it really front and center. And it's like, what if, you know, we as these idealistic World War II people who just won this great war come back, have all this optimism for the future, are hit with, what's the future? You know, what's our kids like? Oh no. Doesn't make sense to us. So it was just, there's a lot of dynamics to play with, super fun. That was probably one of the most fun parts I ever had.
Want it backwards?
No, I'm still
Okay.
working on this one.
Yeah, theater is fun, dude. It is fun. It was another thing I didn't want to do until I did it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh snap, this is actually awesome.
Yeah.
And it's the most similar thing to your acting class.
Yeah.
Because there's always 15, 20, 40 people
Yeah.
watching you in your acting class.
Yep.
And you're like, I'm at home. Now this is kind of at home right now.
Yeah. Oh, you know, that actually brings up something I'll mention. In LA, there's so many creatives, so many actors. It was not hard for me to find people that I really clicked with.
Yeah.
More so than anywhere I'd ever lived. And then coming back to the South, where, you know, kind of the same sort of dynamics that I grew up in, I had the hardest time connecting with anybody until I found other actors.
Wow.
Like it was so difficult. Did you experience any of that?
When I moved here, I had just gotten married.
That's right.
So that was like my main focus was, okay, I just married a woman with 9 kids. How do I become a husband and dad now?
Yeah.
So I really switched gears a lot, and my focus went more into writing.
Okay.
And like, I'm gonna create my own stuff at a bigger level now. I had
Yeah.
created some of my own stuff when I was younger, but now it's like, I have a house, I'm a little more established, you know? ish, and I want to start creating my own things. And that's when I moved into the director and producer side a lot more.
Gotcha.
And still, gosh, man, it's not. I don't want to tell my story on this one, but yes and no. Yes and no. I was really focused on my family. I had enough to deal with, bro.
Of course, yeah.
I had so much to deal with. So when I found a church, I think is when I started connecting with people.
Yeah.
But I did start going to acting classes immediately.
Okay.
Because I wanted to. So yes, you're right. It was a desire of mine to connect with industry people because I definitely feel the most at home with them.
Yeah, same.
Church family, but even more so probably actors, man.
Yeah.
There's just something about it.
Yeah, there's a camaraderie there, man. There's a mutual understanding, and there's a freedom, I think.
Yeah.
Actors are weird, and they accept weird. Normal people look at that like, I used to get that all the time.
I like being weird, dude.
The girls that I would date in high school and college, they'd kind of like me, but they'd also kind of be like, "You're weird."
I like it though.
I'm like, I am weird, and that's good.
Yeah, and then when we met, we never even finished that story. When we met and finally started hanging out, I invited you to the actor group at my house.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Matt's an actor. Let me invite him. Because you took me out to lunch, I think.
Yeah.
And that really was like, okay, I can actually connect with this person. And then I invited you to the actor group, and I'm like, oh, crap. I've been missing out on a friendship with this guy who's just an amazing actor, but an amazing person.
I know, buddy. Sad.
It is sad, but here we are.
Here we are. We made it through. Anything worth having is usually hard to get. So a little challenge is all good.
Yeah, some of my most treasured friendships start like that. They're not like friends at first sight type of thing, and that does happen.
Yeah.
But a lot of times there's like a build-up.
Yeah.
Almost to it.
I learned so much when I was at the talent management company. I love my boss, great dude. But we used to do these seminars when we would take on new clients, and it was usually for parents because parents have all these weird motivations for getting their kids into acting a lot of times. So I was really trying to weed that out. But we would say, look, we want to have some sort of friction or issue with you early on in our relationship, professional relationship, so that we can work through it and build trust. Because can you imagine, with you barely knowing us now and blah, 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 your kid gets offered a role, and they're offered $10,000 for this role.
Yeah.
And we tell you, you should pass because they should offer more.
I'd be mad.
Well, you'd be like, no, just give us the money.
As a parent, yeah.
Right, but if you trusted us, you would understand we're professionals, we've done this a long time, we understand where the negotiation points are, and you would say, okay, I trust you guys. So, that was just one example, but the truth is the truth. Like, you want to really get to a place of trust with your team.
Totally.
And I've seen other friends who are actors who have worked a lot, but one in particular I'm thinking of who's gone through probably 10 agents in 20 years.
Wow.
And that doesn't help your career. Like you're much better off finding a good agent, sticking out with them, working through stuff, being a good client just as much as they're a good agent or a good manager, and realize that you need a team to really be a success as an actor.
I work on so much of my own stuff now. I actually feel bad for my agent because I blow off 90% of my auditions. I'm actually getting a lot right now.
Wow.
I don't know if you are, but I'm getting a lot of auditions, several a week.
Are you really?
And I'm blowing them off. I feel bad. But dude, I'm engrossed.
No, I know you
I'm
are.
building a school.
But,
I'm working on 2 of my own films. I just launched a film. I have so much going on.
If I can give you a piece of advice, I would reach out to your agent and let them know that's what's going on and that you're only looking for a certain level of auditions right now.
Yeah.
Something that you would just feel bad for passing.
Yeah.
Because they're doing a lot of hard work for you. And
no, it's true. Man.
I haven't done that with my agent because I've been happy to only get a few auditions a month right now with what my personal life is and everything I've got going on. I'm like, it's not my focus. And plus with what we've got going on, and I really would rather be pursuing working with people I align with.
For sure.
And creating our own stuff rather than sell my soul to do stuff that's something I don't agree with.
I see us doing a lot of work together, man. Seriously, I really, really do. And the film that we're going to start filming soon here, we're in pre-production for, is one of many.
Yeah.
I really, truly believe that. As much as actors, I connect with them on a social level. ethically, morally, so many ways we connect.
Yeah.
That's just, it's a different level.
Yeah.
You know, our time is limited. Where do you see your future going in the acting world, and what do you see happening to Hollywood, man?
Wow. Well, there's massive changes on the horizon when we speak about Hollywood, or what I see. I mean, been a lot of bombs over the past few years from Hollywood.
Yeah, stinkers.
So there's going to be some repercussions from that. That obviously it's very difficult to get eyes on a project to promote it nowadays. Like if you think about when you're watching TV, most people aren't watching commercials anymore.
Everything's streaming.
Yeah, and there's usually ways around it. Now, cheaper cord cutters, they're probably watching a few commercials here and there. But it's expensive to get the word out about stuff. And then not that many people are going to the movies by comparison to what it used to be. So it's harder to recoup your costs.
Yeah.
So I think the key going forward will be people that are successful will have figured out a less expensive way to produce high quality content. That is the key. And I think you have, and I think that's good for us. I was happy. I don't know if you saw this. There's a big billboard for Angel Studios' new movie Homestead. I saw it.
My friend is in that.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I know Angel. We know Angel.
Yeah, we've talked to them actually. That's right.
But I was just impressed that they went ahead and spent the money to get a billboard that says in theaters December 20th. You know, like that's money, but
it
it
looks good.
It does look good,
by the way.
And Neil McDonald's.
So they're Yeah, Neil's great.
Fantastic.
I like the other gentleman. I can't think of his name, but he played Branch in Longmire. And then my friend Kevin is in it. They brought him in because he's an influencer. He's got 1 million+ followers just on Instagram. Across all of his stuff, he's got 10 mil.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So that's another thing we could talk about too. Influencers are being, ham-fisted into these roles because they have an audience.
Because the biggest issue is getting eyes on the trailer or eyes on the project, and then even maybe it's my stage of life and my age now, but it's harder for me to think about going to the movies. I need to be reminded of that. It's not like I think, okay, the weekend's coming up, I got to go find something to do. I'm married now, so like we have plenty to do around the house,
and there's a lot of things that just take your attention away.
Yeah.
In 2024, 2025 that we live in.
Yeah.
To where it's not anymore like going to the cinema is like a big event. Like all my friends go together. And I do have actor friends usually, who do that still. Like Brian Porzione, these type of people.
Yeah. Oh, I know Brian from LA actually.
Yeah. He goes to Restoration.
Yeah.
He's a great dude. We just saw Gladiator 2, which was a pretty big disappointment. But
yeah, that's what I've heard about it.
But regardless, it was fun because he got like 20 people together, and I was like, oh, I missed this.
Yeah.
I haven't done this in 10 years.
That was one thing about LA is a town of connection, and people do get out and are social in groups. And now, I mean, I'm saying that I was younger and I was in my 20s and 30s and single. So, I mean, there's some of that. But I do feel like it was a special part about LA is people would get out and be more social together.
Yeah.
More so than here.
Yeah, I agree.
But as far as my career goes, I mean, I'm ready to just do stuff that matters, that I feel like would bring some sort of positive influence to the world or joy to the world.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to only do super Christian-y films at all, but I don't want to do stuff that like pushes an agenda I don't agree with.
Yeah. And that's where Hollywood has gone.
Yeah.
Last 10 years have been really, really bad. I mentioned I was on a podcast last night promoting the documentary.
Yeah.
And basically, we were talking about how about 10, 15 years ago, there was a very clear switch, but something that changed in the world and any sphere of influence, but entertainment specifically, U.S. exports culture. That's like our biggest export.
Yeah.
We don't have goods that we export really, but we are definitely the cultural epicenter of the world. And what we're exporting is not positive right now. And it's changing back. It has to. The pendulum has to re-swing because it's so bad right now.
I know.
But people are voting with their dollar, and that's a good thing. People need to vote for entertainment that's actually entertaining.
Yeah.
And there's only a handful of movies coming out each year like that. So
Yep.
these companies are failing in a big way, and I think that's part of what you're saying, right? We need to figure out how do we make really good creative stuff for cheaper.
Yep.
Which is why I'm creating the system that I feel like was kind of a download from God to create. and why I think people like us, and I'm not speaking prophetically, but I'm going to speak prophetically, people like us are going to become the next generation of stars.
Yeah.
100% believe that. And God will make our way. It won't be some casting couch situation where
Yeah.
we get voted in by the Diddies, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're going out, man.
Well, you know, the other thing that's different, just from a dynamic standpoint, is 30 years ago, there were only a few avenues, you know, like major studios, a few major networks, they would launch careers.
Correct.
Nowadays, it's not like that. There's not a one area or one media source or medium that gets 50 or 60 million views
No.
that can, like, all of a sudden turn someone into a celebrity overnight. So you really have to do it continually, and you've got to be good over and over and over again, and then build your following like an influencer does.
Yes.
You know, you have to kind of go that route, I think, in entertainment media now. You have to build your own brand or the brand of the medium.
Yeah.
That could also be the case. But if you don't do that, I mean, people have so many choices of what to watch.
Yeah, I agree. So, last question, brother, before we sign off here.
Just good. I'm almost done with my cigar.
Yeah, perfect timing. What would you really like to see happen? What would be ideal for you? Just
In my life personally or in the industry?
dream scenario. Where do you want to go?
Wow. You're getting deep on me, Travis.
We have to end. We have to end on a deep note.
I know. So my dream would be that like-minded, creative people like us and others can create something that people like to watch, that blesses them, that that is good quality entertainment, that gives them what they're looking for,
Yeah.
and it enables us to do it regularly, so that we don't exhaust, but not so much so that we're exhausting ourselves trying to keep up with the demand, but that we can have balanced lives, we can do what we feel like we're made for,
Yeah.
and that we can bring light and joy and positive thinking,
Yeah.
methods of thinking, realizations, revelation, whatever you want to call it, to the world. So that, to me, that looks like, I think even though media is changing and there's VR and all this stuff, I think people still will always like the visual medium on the flat screen.
I think so.
I think the VR stuff is so immersive that you don't always want that.
It's almost too much.
Yeah.
Especially for our generation, it's way too much.
Yeah, like there's just something that we naturally are voyeurs to a degree as humans, and we'd like to just watch a story. And just like I don't think reading will ever go away. I think people will always read stories as well. So I would like to be able to do, film, TV type productions, or just think of it episodic versus feature length, which I think episodic really is more interesting because you fall in love with the characters, you have a longer arcs, you have more
Tell
story.
a much more in-depth story.
Yeah, and it's much more interesting.
Things get lost.
And I find that when I watch stuff now, I really want to care about the characters
Yes.
and have an ongoing story, not just a 2-hour experience or a 3-hour experience. Once I've fallen in love with the characters, I want it to keep going.
So what would be an ideal series, let's say, like if you had
Yeah.
creative control to a degree, who would you play and what would that look like?
I love episodics or shows or what have you where the main character is a bit of a chameleon. Kind of your Burn Notice or The Saint, I guess was an initial one, where you've got the guy who's can do special set of skills sort of person, but also plays different characters.
Burn Notice was
Kind of like a spy situation. And then if it had a comedic bent to a degree, but not over the top,
Yeah.
that'd be fun. So that would be one ideal. And then I kind of did fall in love with sitcoms when I was at Nickelodeon. So I think being a part of a sitcom would also be a big dream because they are so fun.
Do you like movies more than TV or TV more than movies? And I just mean episodic versus.
I think I like episodics more.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, here's why I say that. I don't find comedic movies are nearly as funny to me.
Okay.
Don't know why.
Okay.
But episodics can make me laugh. They entertain me more from a comedic standpoint. Now, from a drama standpoint, a very artfully done feature-length film is pretty awesome. Or,
Yeah, I think
a story that wraps up in 3 hours, it's still great.
I think movies are the ultimate medium, but I think people have migrated to television or episodic.
Yeah.
They'll binge 6 hours.
Do you think that's because once you start an episodic and you see if the first few episodes, you feel like it's good, you feel like it's worthy of your time to continue on, whereas it's a bit of a risk to just hop into a feature. Unless you have someone vouching for the feature, or if you have an actor that you trust or a director that you trust, it's a different story. But I wonder if that has something to do with that dynamic shift a little
Could
bit.
be, man. I go through phases with TV shows. I have like a love-hate relationship with them. I don't have enough, my life is so packed.
Right.
I don't have enough time to invest, but I think the average person does. Maybe.
Yeah.
Have more time. They don't have 12 people living in their house. They
Right.
don't have,
A 9-to-5er with 1 or 2 kids, maybe they have more time.
it just feels like a little more time.
Yeah.
So I can't invest in that, but I can watch a movie or two per week.
Yeah.
Really, right now I'm watching 1 or 2 per month.
Yeah.
Which I would like to do more.
Oh, Travis.
I know it's pity pity party.
So sad.
Oh my gosh.
Talk to my wife later. How's Travis? Oh, he's only watching 1 or 2
He's always
movies
watching one movie a month.
Oh, no. Should we put him on the prayer chain?
Yeah, exactly. Put it up on the prayer board at church. This poor guy. But I'm so much more into making movies now than I am even watching them.
Yeah.
I love watching them, but man, creating, I think as people,
Yes.
we were created to create.
Yeah.
We are in God's image, man. He's the most creative being that's ever existed.
100% agree.
So we're just created to create. I know you like that too, and I think that's why we're going to do really, really well with this new system that's been put in place. And
Yeah.
I'm just excited, man. I'm excited, but dude, it's been great. We got to hang out more.
I know.
It's been crazy lately.
I know.
It's been really crazy, but thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, man. Love you, brother.
Love you too, man. We're out.
We out.